Welcome back. Been a long time. I'm not going to spend any time explaining why I'm back. I think we all knew it would happen eventually. I want to make a video talking about music. Never really done that before. And it's one specific song that struck me for some reason. The song is Young Turks by Rod Stewart. I think it's a funny song for me to pick for what I'm going to have to say about it. Because it's really just kind of at the surface, it seems like just a very generic kind of pop song. I had heard it before, never thought about the lyrics at all, never listened to it closely or thought it was that great. But it came on when I was at work and I was listening to it and I just thought it was super catchy that night for some reason. Like it just stuck in my head. So on my drive home, I decided to listen to it. I actually listened to the lyrics. I was shocked. I was like, this is like a Gen Z anthem right here. It stands for life. Anything that like unapologetically embraces just like a zeal for life is super powerful in today's age, because we live in the age of darkness and death, and where culturally we are basically worshiping death everywhere, and people hate things that call you back to life. I think that's what this song does. So if you haven't heard the song, go listen to it. It's the story of a young couple who basically runs away from home, and they go, fresh out of high school or whatever, leave their families, choosing freedom just off faith, just off pure. It kind of reminds me of the song "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi. It's like a similar vibe, just like young love and choosing the courageous path rather than being scared. Because it's supposed to be like, oh, their families don't want them together or whatever it might be. To me, it represents human brevity, courage, faith, and just having balls to be like, well, we know what we want. We know we love each other. There's nothing that's going to stand in the way of that. So they run off, they get an apartment, whatever. And then like the climax of the song, it's a super short, simple story. It's not like anything crazy happens in the story that's being told in the song. It's a very normal human story, but that's what's so beautiful about it. The climax of the song is, and I love the way it's presented because it's a success story. And in the minds of a lot of people today, I think it would be viewed as like a sad story, like it's a bad thing. But you can't help feeling happy about it anyway because it sounds so good in the song. But the climax of the song is that they have a kid, and he's like, Patty gave birth to a 10-pound baby boy, and it's like so, I don't know, it's like an overpowering feeling of joy in the song. And nowadays it would be looked at as something sad. It's like, oh, a young couple makes the irresponsible decision to leave home, and then they have a unplanned pregnancy or whatever. Like this is, that's like the end of the world to people. But really that's a miracle, right? That's a beautiful thing. Now, obviously, coming from the perspective of Christianity, we would want people to be married and to plan their families and whatever, but human life is a blessing, and the pursuit of that is always a good thing, regardless. So I have some notes here. I just want to get a little more in depth. Why do I call this like a Gen Z anthem? Why do I think it's so relevant now? I kind of already brushed over this, but what is the spirit of the age? What is the modern kind of ideal? It's a culture of nihilism, transhumanism, anti-natalism. It's all death. Everything is death, and it's fear. Everything is based around fear. People are obsessed with avoiding bad circumstances, avoiding suffering, avoiding any type of hardship. Everything's convenience. Everything's what's the path of least resistance. And nobody has balls anymore. Nobody has courage. Nobody has faith that things can work out, that there's something above us that governs us, and that when we enter into things with pure intentions, and most importantly, with faith in the one true God, that things have a way of resolving themselves unbeknownst to us, outside of our own power. We can't make these things happen, but you have to move with faith. And you have no power when you have no faith. I think most young people, whether they realize it or not, they hate the spirit of this age because they see the destruction of it and they feel it in their own soul. And they see that all these ideas that are permeating society as a whole are destructive and evil and dark. And even the people who subscribe to it hate it because it makes their life hell. As a generation, we hate the spirit of the age. We hate this nihilistic, transhuman darkness. And we have a deep desire for humanity, for zeal, for desire. We want our human desires back. We want to feel like mankind again and not like animals. Love, passion, freedom, courage, thumos, you know. Men want to be men again, women want to be women again. We want the basic functions of humanity restored. And that comes from God, of course. This is why I say that this is a Gen Z anthem. It's a simple, simple story. Young couple finds love, has a child. It's a success. And they did it in faith, without fear. They ran away and they said, this will work out because we have something. This is built on something. So as a generation, many of us are returning to the values of our ancestors. The love of family, freedom, courage, and underlying all of that, faith in God and a desire for righteousness and values. I think this song plays a great contrast to a lot of the music that is also very popular with this generation. You know, like the 90s grunge scene is what immediately pops into my head, because I think there's a lot of impressive artistry in the grunge music scene, like, you know, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Radiohead, all these bands that are very nihilistic, very dark, postmodern, kind of just lashing out against existence itself. It's people who are like suffering deeply and they're talking about it, and people can relate to that a lot. And there's a place for that, I think. You know, it's honest and it's real and it's authentic. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But there's a stark contrast between like this very deep intellectual, like, oh, I'm so smart that I suffer, and the simple like power of just more ignorant, simple, just like life's beautiful. And there's no like, there's no super deep explanation for why. There's no like subtle artistic undertone to this. It's just like, yes, life, humanity, it's good. It's so missing from our culture today and just from our minds. So I would make the argument that Young Turks is the least gay pop song. It's got thumos. It's got that just raw, just makes you say, hell yeah. And we need more things like that. You know, I can appreciate artistry. I can appreciate depth and music that is authentic with the way people are feeling at a certain time. I don't think that's wrong. But you know what? Society and culture has begun to mimic art rather than mimic reflecting culture. And that's intentional. You might not be aware, but most people, I think, maybe not most people, but many people are aware by this point that culture is created. It's being steered by people, being led down a certain path. And what they want is a atmosphere of fear, of self-loathing, of viewing humanity itself as a cancer, viewing ourselves as lacking in value, as like a stain on the world, that we're like the animals that are destroying the other animals. And that's all we are. But we have to return to this valuing humanity above all other things. And that has to be grounded in something, which is of course the fact that we're made in the image of God. And without that, we're dead in the water. It's like, it's death. That's the only way you can sum it up. And this is what the church fathers and the saints and all the wise people throughout history have said, that these other ideas, these philosophies, it's all empty and ultimately it's death. And life comes from one place. Young Turks, man. You believe that's what I'm talking about right now? Young Turks by Rod Stewart. I think it's also the fact that it's an old song kind of shows the progression of culture and really the degradation of it. Because you see the way that young people used to think. And I think that when this song came out, I'm not positive when it was, I'm guessing it was the 80s, it was more common for this kind of way of thinking of just being like, yeah, we're gonna go make it. We're gonna go build our family. We'll move into an apartment. We'll do what we gotta do. Do it simple, cheap, whatever. We want kids. We want family. We want a life. We're not worried about like, oh, am I financially stable enough yet to have this kid? It's a natural desire. It's humanity itself, and you will make it work because that's what you're built for, right? And that's how people used to think. But now people are so anxious and just like bug people. Everyone is so caught up in all this other stuff that they're missing the underlying root of all existence, all life. And it's just like a zeal, a desire for humanity. And the climax of the song being the birth of a child is so beautiful. And it's like, this is where they say, okay, we succeeded. We did what we needed to do. And it's like, in the modern mind, that might be perplexing. It's like, how did you succeed? Because you had a kid? Like, you're still poor. You're still living in a 2-bedroom apartment. You're still not successful in any worldly sense. You didn't really get anywhere. You just moved away from home and had a kid. And it's like, yeah, we had a kid. That's the beauty of it. Like it's beautiful. It's a miracle. And they say, we know we did the right thing. We know we did it because God blessed us with a child. So I already said this, I can't help thinking that most people my age would not view this as such a happy story, but it is, you know? And of course, like I said, it's always better to have families that are planned, where you're married and those kids are going to have a more stable life. And I'm not saying that this is like a model we should try to, it's not something we should base our lives off of, but it's still a beautiful story. And zeal for life, man. That's what's missing in so many people's hearts, minds, and lives. And I understand that doesn't come from nowhere, especially in the modern era where we're being raised in this like cesspool of filth. It's really hard to find any type of zeal, but it's out there. God is working on you. He's working on the world. You have to seek the truth, and you got to fight for it. It won't come easy. I hope we all can find this kind of raw, just desire for truth and for love and for faith, and we can become human again. And I think it's possible. Thank you guys for watching.